up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm Angela Yee. And, first off, let me introduce my girl. Erica Ford is here. And you're Life Camp for Life.
Life Camp for Life.
Yeah.
But pass the baton. And I'm moving on.
She says that, but
Way Up.
I don't believe
with Angela Yee is Way Up with Erica Ford.
And Beanie Sigel is here. This is like our sit down now on Way Up, because I wasn't there when you were on when you came to the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to have you in the building.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine.
All right, and then we have Gregory Jackson Jr. By the way, can't forget the junior part.
Right.
And you are the Deputy Director of the White House Office of Gun Prevention and Special Assistant to the President.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that Joe Biden actually implemented last year, right?
Yeah. We about 6 months in right at this point. So excited to be here. Also, this is my big mentor, Erica Ford. So excited to be here with her.
Right.
I'm a mentee of yours too. I'm learning.
I'll take that. Y'all heard that.
We should be learning from the mentees, right?
That's right.
All right, and Beanie Sigel, so now you are also working on this gun prevention campaign. And so tell me how this all happened, because I want to see what the synergy is, how this all started.
So Beans was trying to shoot me one day.
Oh.
No.
With a camera, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, with a camera. I think it just was destiny. I can't really pinpoint exactly how it happened. We both got a mutual friend, Mr. Marvin Bang. I've been working with Marv for like the last couple years. Just, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I know I didn't want to just be an artist, and that was just the end of my legacy. Beanie Sigel, the rapper. I think I had a lot to give, to share, beyond just music. And, he introduced me to Erica, and we've been locked on the hip ever since. It was just like, yes, this is what I need to do.
If there's somebody I'm going to listen to when it comes to this, it's Beanie Sigel, okay?
Yeah.
Because I think it's also important to meet people where they're at and for them to understand why gun prevention is such an important topic for us to be discussing, because it has gotten very political. And that's when I'm going to throw it to you, Gregory Jackson Jr., because you are working with the White House, and this is a new position. Like you said, it's only a 6-month-old position. So tell me how you ended up getting involved and why you were tapped to be part of this initiative.
Yeah, I wish it was an exciting story, but for me, it started when I was shot in April 2013. The bullet that hit me hit 2 arteries and nearly cost me my life. But when I was in the hospital, I'll never forget turning on the TV and watching leaders in Washington saying they couldn't take action because I was shot 3 days after the Senate failed to pass a background check vote. And so, I went through 6 different surgeries, 6 months of recovery, but was committed that if I got back on my feet, I would literally do all I can in this work. And so I started local, doing mentorship work, supporting the youth in my community. And then my family friend Trey was shot and killed in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I realized that it's not about one city. It's about what can we do for every community. And so that's where I pivoted and started working at the congressional level to push forward bills. We passed the first bill on gun violence in 29 years. And when President Biden was elected, day one, I was on the horn with his team. Erica and I did a big call with a bunch of other activists that first week and said, here's what we need to see done. Here's the change we want to see. And of those requests, nearly all of them have been advanced. But the biggest one was that we needed them to have a team to work on this every day, because gun violence happens every day. It's not just about mass shootings. It's about our folks that are impacted every day. And so that team was assembled, and they turned around and said, well, Greg, we want you to serve on it. And Erica advised on it. So so we're here, and that's how I got started.
Right. And Beanie Sigel, you had the story. I remember when you got shot, and that was in the news, and people were not sure, there was all kinds of rumors at that time about what happened.
Yeah, I heard I died and all that. Well, yeah.
And you could have died at that, in that instance.
Yeah, they said I caught it once or twice and doing surgery, but came back. And that was just that incident. So yeah, I'm at a point right now where, I had to back up from the industry, the so-called industry that's out there, and just, you know, that space that I was in my life with the music that I was bringing out and putting out. And, you know, a lot of us, when we don't have information, we tend to run with whatever narrative that's going on in society and in our world as entertainment. It's like we don't got those positive messages through the music no more. Everything is just straight aggression and toxic. You don't have that happy medium where you could talk about those things, and then you could also get a flip side.
Right.
You know what I mean? This what happens if you do this. Because, you know, one don't exist without the
Right,
other, right?
that's a fact.
How do you know evil without good? How do you know good without evil? I think I always did a good job in my music and portraying both sides, but I'm here to be on the ground with Erica. You know, this is my mentor. I'm her mentee now. And,
Right.
you know, they say when a student is willing to learn, the teacher will come.
Yeah, sometimes things happen for a reason, and you get put into a position that could feel like, why is this happening to me? But then there's a bigger purpose.
Oh, well, I always knew that. If you listen to the music, when I told you and feel it in the air,
Yeah.
I go through it so you wouldn't do it after me. But as for me,
25 years since The Truth came out, too, by the way. Congratulations. That concert
Thank
looked
you.
like it was, everybody was talking about it.
yeah.
Because, you know, my girl Gigi, who's from Philly, she's on Lip Service. She was like, you
Yeah.
know, we all going to see Beanie, Siegel.
She told you missed it, right?
Yeah, she did. I didn't
was
even know
crazy.
because she told us after. She was
Oh,
she told
man.
us after that she went, and she was talking about how crazy that was for the city. And that has to feel great that 25 years ago you put out a project that you could put out today
Yeah.
and it still would hit the same.
That's what I think my music is. I think I get that a lot from people like, yo, you was before your time. It's things that, you know, on certain records and songs that I do, and it's like, people like, yo, that's going on right now. So I think that's just honest music. When your music is honest, like you can, I always say I ain't gonna make music forever, but I'm gonna try to make forever music.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
Boss.
that. And then, you know, and obviously we know that you've had some infamous, like, right now there's some hip hop beef going on. And
Oh yeah.
stop it, you know. And
What's
so
going
when
on?
you watch
I'm
everything
in a
that's
whole nother
happening
space. I don't know what's going on.
with Drake, Kendrick, Rick Ross, all of these different things happening. I know you've said
Boss.
that you said that you're going to do AI,
Yeah.
use it, and use that to help with your voice. But then what's been weird is that there's all these like tracks that have been coming out that people feel like this is AI. I don't know if this is real or not. Some of it was AI.
Well, I'm gonna
that's
use
confusing.
AI for myself.
Beneficially, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go in and record everything, and I'm gonna use the AI just to bring back that sound. That when you listen to my music, you'll get to hear that voice that you grew up on, that you
Right.
held on to.
You can't do it without doing this either, like that voice.
Yeah, you know, I'm just,
Yeah. Wow.
Because it hits you. It hits you.
Without making
but I'm
that-
embracing my voice now.
Yeah,
though.
you should.
But I still want to do both. It's because the reason why I want to do it's gonna be a lot of music that I'm gonna do. And Storm, can I tell you? I don't even know how I could. It's gonna be myself now, talking to my younger self.
Ooh, okay. That's a lot of knowledge. I feel like that's
I'm gonna
great.
end that right there. I can't.
That's a lot of knowledge. I can see.
Did I mess up, Storm? Did I give him
No,
too
you
much?
did, not too much.
All right.
Oh man, I feel like there's gonna be a little AI Beanie Siegel running around. Too. And I feel like, but that's an important conversation, even with what we're talking about here with Life
Yes.
Camp. You know, with gun violence, like talking to, if you could go back and talk to your younger self, you know, I remember you even talking about how you were disappointed with Jay-Z when he was saying, you know, in court or whatever, and he said that, you know, you were a little, he couldn't predict.
A liability.
Yeah, what Beanie's, that's what, liability. But when
Yeah.
you look back at your younger self and talk to your younger self, you can see why one would think that.
And when you look at the industry right
Yeah.
now, was it all not a liability? Right? When you look at what is happening in the industry.
Right.
Who
'Cause
was the real
look,
liability?
I feel like it's worse now with social media and
Yeah.
people amping up beefs and saying this person's talking about you, and they may not be.
Well, my liability thing, I'm just was a man that just held everybody accountable.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, if we do that, like Look at it in this sense. All right, they said it's a liability for holding people accountable. But if it was more of us that held people accountable, then the people that we holding accountable, they would know to be a certain way, act a certain way. I just was on man time.
You know, the music industry, though, I think is hard
No, you
for
understand that, Angie?
people who are on man time. The music industry is not.
No,
And
it's
so
not.
being able to move in that space, I feel like people who are very like hold you accountable people, it's harder for them to maneuver around that because they're used to people having like morals, and it's not really like that in the music business.
Everything in the music business is a facade to
Right.
me. That's my POV. It's a facade.
And sometimes if you don't know that at first, you have anticipation, you have expectations.
Well, that's where I was at.
Yeah.
I'm thinking everything is. Then I'm like, well, what's going on? I grew up listening to this, and I'm thinking this person this way, and they're nothing like that.
Right.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah, we have to let
So
that
am I
go.
crazy?
No, but it's an experience. It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
You know, you come in thinking things are one way and then it's another way. Like, Erica, how hard has it been for you to get into this position where even the work that you've been doing for so long, that you've been doing with no money at first, for people to, I feel like things have been changing and it's a slow process. Policy is a slow process to get things done. Change is slow. And, you know, for you to be putting in the work early on, knowing that that's not an easy thing to do because a lot of times it's no financial, nothing comes with it, no support comes with it. You're doing work basically for free and also not getting any type of like appreciation for the work that you're trying to do. And now it feels like change is slow, but it is happening, right?
Yes. And just to sit here and listen to the two, Greg and Beans both say that I'm their mentor, right? We have Beans, who is a artistic genius, right? And we have Greg, who is a political beast working in the White House. And so it's the diversity of where you put your energy, right? Who you're holding accountable, right? And how that impacts the next generation. Because both of you know, when you talk about the industry destroys souls. They try to take a piece of you out in order for what they want, the business of what they want to grow, right? And so most of the music that gets pushed into the ears and minds and hearts of our kids is music that destroys them, right? It's a lot of times there's no balance, right? And so you'll see NLE Chopper talk about why we can't just have fun.
Right.
Right? Why is it I got to be less than a man to have fun? Like, why? Right? And then also, when you look at what is happening with a lot of artists, right? These cases, right? These raids and so on and so forth, right? None of these people ended up that way on their own, right? Like, we can sit here and you know, I'm a black woman. And so I'm not condoning any attack on another black woman or anybody, right? But what happened to these peoples when they were kids, right? When you look at shootings that happen in communities, these people are getting shot and killed. When Beans got shot and almost died, what help did he get? What therapeutic help did he get? What support did he get? And on the other side, Greg in the White House, when he got shot, what help did he get?
Right.
None. They didn't get none. Right? And so then when those trauma and pain that they have grows in them and it impacts their decisions, we blame their decision. Not the system that created where the decision came from. Right? And so, you know, and I hope this is not going over people's head. Right? Because there's some who we're trying to put in jail. We're quick to just cast away folks. And I'm never the person to cast away folks. I work with everybody. And I work because I know that people, like my father was killed in the Vietnam War. And I know the impact that had on me and my brother.
Right.
Right? And I know that all of these little kids who go into this industry as innocent individuals trying to make a living, but then they realize they got to do something else to make this money or for their music to get played, right? And those things are real, right? Those things are real. And so when we see on our TV screens and our news screens what's happening now, like, it shouldn't be a surprise, right? And we shouldn't condemn people so fast. We have
Right.
to look at what creates those individuals, right?
Right.
And
No, I agree with you. I've had an opportunity to sit down with a lot of the younger artists and have conversations with them, even off camera, about things that happen in their life that they may never want to share publicly about what goes on. And then to see the decisions that they keep on continuing to make. But it's like, who's around you?
Right.
You know, and what help are you being given? Are you being cut off from people? Are you being told you can't do this, you can't do that? And, you know, even family that's around. And then there's people that work in the business that want to benefit and profit off of you. And sometimes it is more profitable when people have beef or they're, you know, writing certain, making and creating certain kinds of music that they now have to live up to.
Right.
You know, but we're the ones paying the cost, you know, and to some people it's music, but for me it's looking at my mentors like Beanie. I listened to Beanie on the school bus, like looked up to him, never thought I would ever meet Beans, right? And he almost was shot and killed. And I think about all the people I looked up to as a young man, you know, my mentors are now my ancestors.
Right.
You know, we lost Bankroll Fresh, Young Dolph, Takeoff, Lil Snoop, Tupac, Biggie, the list goes on and on and on. Nipsey. And it's like these are people that we as young black men and black folks in general, we look up to, we celebrate, and we watch this crisis of gun violence just literally chew them up and spit them out. And if they make it. And this is huge. I mean, this has been the number one cause of death for black youth since 2006, gun violence.
Right.
But yet we haven't seen the policy. We haven't seen the action. We haven't seen the resources, the dollars. And I think we're turning the corner now because so many survivors are standing up, like Beans, like myself, like Erica. And that's where the change is happening. But for too long, we've been looking at this as entertainment and not realizing that it's wiping us out.
Yeah. And I want to talk about things that have been done because I always feel like it's important to make sure that we discuss how can we help and how can we help find solutions instead of saying this is what it is. You know, because people will say, well, nothing's being done. Well, the White House hasn't done anything. This administration doesn't care about our black youth. So what are some things that are being done and how can we support that?
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And go back to the first executive order all the way to now.
The first executive order on April 8th, which was Erica's birthday. So happy birthday to you. In 2021, we moved forward the first series of executive actions on gun violence. It focused on programs for community violence intervention programs like Life Camp. How do we get more dollars? Opened up $10 billion for programs like Life Camp. Before that executive action.
Across the nation.
Across the nation. Before that, there was $0 federally. So we went from 0 to $10 billion in the first few months, right? That also included resources for youth that have been impacted by violence, for folks coming home from prison. But thinking about how do we provide resources for those who are most at risk was the first step. Knowing that those who are most vulnerable or who are at risk, frankly, are who we got to start with. How do we help get them out of that cycle of violence and make sure they have the treatment, the support, the interventions they need? But since then, we passed the first bill on gun violence in 29 years, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And that created the 988 Suicide Lifeline. If you look at a Ride Wave concert, you see it in the background. This bill created that. It included investments for 14,000 school-based mental health professionals.
Great.
That's a 35% increase. We turned gun trafficking into a federal offense. We've already prosecuted over 300 traffickers. We shut down 152 gun stores that were breaking laws and violating the law in order to sell guns to youth and other folks who, frankly, were prohibited. But we also looked at how do we get upstream and make sure that we're not just cracking down on our youth and that young brother who maybe has a gun to protect himself, but how do we hold the dealers accountable, the traffickers accountable, the manufacturers accountable? We put 2 ghost gun companies out of business, right? So we're thinking about how do we hold the whole industry accountable while moving literally billions of resources into life-saving programs. And the one big thing we did just 2 weeks ago is we looked at, okay, how are illegal guns getting into the hands of our youth? How are they getting into the hands of domestic abusers that are prohibited? And so we tracked the gun trafficking. We looked at 12,000 cases from 2017 to 2021, and we found that the main source was unlicensed private sellers, people who are selling online, on online marketplaces, at gun shows. And these are people that without felonies, right, that are buying these guns illegally, giving them to traffickers, and those are moving into places like New York. And so what we did is we looked at that source and we changed the policy to make sure that 20,000 of those unlicensed private sellers now have to be licensed. They have to do background checks, recognizing that that's the source of where the guns are coming from. And that's what this administration is doing. We're not just looking at, the brother who's struggling on the street. We're looking at who's profiting off of this. Like who's sitting on a yacht, right? And putting weapons from the battlefields into our backyards. You know what I mean? Like that's who really needs to start to pay the cost, because we're already paying the cost. We're paying it with our bodies. We're paying it with our dollars. We're paying it with our family, our kids, our futures, frankly. Right. And so I always push back. We might not have been on this show talking about it the way we should, but we've had our head down doing this work. And above all of that, the president, had the vision to not just hire political activists and academics. He hired survivors like me, to lead that charge. And people always joke like, Greg, you got locks. How the heck you get in there? But I'm like, look, I represent the people that we're fighting for, and the president saw that. And so not only did we pass the law, he entrusted people who have been impacted to make sure those laws help save lives. And the last thing I'll say is last year we saw a 13% reduction in homicides. And we can't quite celebrate that because if you lose somebody, it hurts. I lost my mentee, DeMarcos, this past fall. So I can't celebrate that percentage when I know DeMarco's family hurting.
Done,
but we're getting there. And so we're going to keep building on that.
Yes. Yeah. And also we have Eddie Bucanera, who's in the Department of Justice, right? And that's a win because Eddie Bucanera did 16 years, if I'm not mistaken, worked on the front line in Chicago, and now he's in the Department of Justice deciding the language where money goes, changing policies, and, connecting the Department of Justice to real groups on the ground and real understanding. And it's a process. And one of the reasons why we're here together is because it takes all of us, right? The different worlds to come together to impact that mindset that a lot of people talk about, like I ain't really about voting, but you are concerned about getting arrested and going to jail, and that's a DA that gets voted in. That's a judge that gets voted in, right? And so we have to be in the process. And although Clean Slate Act passed and people have the right to vote, they're not registered. And so we want to get people registered. We want to get people to understand the importance of coming out to vote, not only in this next election, but all elections, so that we can begin. Because when I first started, politicians said to me, like, why should I work with that audience? Because they don't vote. They don't donate to our campaigns. I have no reason to be interested in those folks, right? And so we have to build up our political net worth, right, so that we can impact the decisions of what is being made, and also just be a body that really can begin to not only just break the cycles, but build new cycles, right? Because we can't talk about we could sell 2 million records, but we can't influence 2 million people to make a right decision, right? We can't change the way our young people are acting in these streets to not go to jail, but really be productive and own businesses like how you own several businesses, right? And do things with their name and their personalities like Beans is doing, or work in the White House like Greg is doing, right? Or just use your voice to advocate for people like I did, right? And so there's other things that folks could do. The idea of death and going to jail should not be a thought process for our young people.
Right.
It shouldn't be an option. It shouldn't be a thought process. And it's our responsibility to make sure that happens. I don't accept the thing of OGs saying that I can't tell these young people what to do. I can't tell them nothing. Or if they get into somebody gets killed and they said, I can't talk them off that ledge. We can. We can. And if you're a real man, if you're a real woman, you have a moral responsibility to help save these young people's lives, right? You can't turn your back and close your eyes and think that you don't have nothing to do with it. And that's why I want to continue to challenge artists. I want to continue to challenge people who are influenced. Because if you can't influence real change and get out of the way and let us step in and do what we're supposed to do, because it don't make no sense, right? It don't make no sense. And there's a lot of people in this industry that, you're taking up a lot of airspace, but you're not pushing people in the right direction to do something. And we have to save our children, because it don't make no sense.
Because listen, people will paint a narrative of us in our community when we could be letting people know who we are ourselves and using our voice to let you know what it is that we demand, what it is that we need, and who we really are. Because I think sometimes, people who are not in this space, they have a view of who we are, why we do what we do, and what's happening. And we need to be the ones that are making decisions and painting that narrative of ourselves that's a true and real one.
Yes.
I think that's really important. And, you know, a lot of things that you said when we talk about policy, I mean, I can never understand why people don't want to do things as simple as a background check. Like, people will be against that when it comes to gun violence or semi-automatic weapons. Some people feel like, why would the average person need to have a semi-automatic weapon? You know, and it's even things like that people are like, no, we want to have our rights, our right to bear arms, and have not have those types of restrictions, when these things are really important to be able to implement, to make sure that people can also have guns safely, be able to train in how to use their guns, making sure, like you said, you know, a background check is done. I don't see why that is even an issue in some places.
Well, it's law now. You know, right now, almost nearly everybody that's selling guns has to be licensed and use a background check, unless they're a personal collector. So whether people support it or not is law. And so now we got to follow through on that law, hold people accountable to it, and then also think about the behavior and like what leads to someone even picking up the gun in the first place. You know, unfortunately, there's more guns in this country than there are people.
Right.
Or 400 million guns already in our communities.
Right.
So
That part.
the sales, you know, we're doing our best to crack down on the sales, but the guns are here. So how do we start to change things to make sure that our young folks don't think that, hey, I got to shoot first and fight later? You know, that's not that's not going to save anybody. That's not going to you know, get us anywhere. And I'm proud that there's so many people speaking up. You know, like Beans is out here pushing this. Quavo came to the vice president's house and literally talked about this and brought Takeoff's mom. You know, we're seeing so many voices step up and say, look, this is not cool. Like, this isn't, it's beyond that. Like, living should be cool. And then how you live is what we should be excited about. And so this White House is investing in those strategies. Like, we're putting the resources down, recognizing that that's what was missing before. We didn't invest in the communities. We expected the justice system to handle all those problems and those challenges, and that's not going to work. You know, we got to change behavior by investing in ourselves as a community.
Now, Erica had said something earlier about getting shot and then not getting help after that, right? Yeah. So, you know, Gregory, for you and for you, Beanie, did you guys, since then, have you gotten any help or spoken to anybody or done anything to say, okay, because that's a traumatic experience, and no matter what, that's something you'll never be able to forget, but how do you deal with that and move forward and cope with that? Have you ever been like, okay, I need to talk to somebody about this?
I'm actually, the work that I'm doing with Erica and Greg is part of my therapy now. Just being able to share the experiences that I went through and telling people, like, this is not where you want to go. You don't want to go there. You can lose, not only, like, just, okay, the ultimate thing is you can lose your life. Right. Right? And that's it. But if you survive, your life is altered forever. And to some people who don't have the will power to, like, go on and push forward through life itself, they in for a rude awakening. When you can't do the simple things as put your pants on correctly. You need help to even dress yourself, to wash yourself, to feed yourself. You know, you in a position where you can't go out and work and be productive. That's part of the mental thing, you know, that is going to impact you and weigh down on you. Where ultimately you can be alive, but at the same time you're dead. You don't want to go through that. So that's what I'm here to do. You know, I want to be able to be the eyes for people who can't see, be the legs for the people who can't walk. You know what I mean? And let them know, listen, this me, Beanie Sigel, I'm telling you this. This is not somebody who's just, you know what I mean? I've been through it. Right. In every aspect. There's nothing you can tell me. I've been through it. And me and Erica had a discussion one day, and we was talking, you know, the closest to the problem, the closest to the solution. I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides of it. I've been here, and I've been on the other side. Right. So that's those two conversations that we was talking about earlier. And you talked about Beanie Sigel, me, now talking to the younger version.
And the forgiveness that you've talked about, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. You got to.
You got to what?
You got to be able to forgive. Not only that, you gotta be. I mean, the person that shot me, I ain't bitter about it.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah, I wanted to go out, and it was easy for me to do that. But it's just, I'm just glad that the space that I was in my life then wasn't the space that I was in my earlier years.
Right.
So it allowed me to fall back and process, because I was being tested. I was being tested to a lot. Like, okay, you say you want to change, you want to do this. Well, let me see. Then this happened. Then I fight through that, and then I wake up on this side of the pillow like, I can't do that. Like, you know, I got to handle this situation. I'm Beanie Sigel. I'm a Broad Street bully. It's a character, man. Then I get through that, and then something else. All right, you went through that one. Because you never going to stop getting tested.
Oh, never.
And it keep coming. I'm glad I can see it now when it come. You ain't getting me. And I don't have no audience. I changed my whole audience in life, because a lot of people, like I said, character, they performing for people.
Right.
Not only on the stage, they performing for people in life, period. My audience is when I turn that key. When I come in the house, and how my children perceive me, how my wife perceive her husband as a man. My children perceive, my mother perceive her son, how she can, you know, hold their head up like, that's my son. And know her son is not a character. You know, and when I'm gone, how my children will celebrate me.
Right.
My father taught me this. You know, my husband taught me this. I watch my son go through this. That's what it's about. When you start in that household, that's my audience. And I just bring the things that I pray that I could bring the things that I go through in my household, that I teach my children, that I teach my daughters, you know, bring it to the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Because those same people that'll hype you up to do something stupid will be the
They
same
ain't
people
gonna
that
be
call you
around.
stupid when you do it.
And I learned,
Yeah.
never take advice from people who's not going to suffer the outcome
Yeah.
of that decision.
Say that again.
I learned I don't never got to be nowhere I don't want to be. So when you do that, I see how you looking at me like, wow, is this the Beanie Sigel talks? No, but this is real, though.
You know,
Because it was a journey.
Beans, a lot of people, I know this is Angela's show, but you sparked a question inside of me. Because a lot of people be like, yo, I can't tell them what to do, Erica.
Yes.
Yo, you can't tell them, like, yo, when they friend gets shot or they people get shot, you can't tell them what to do. Like, so what inside of you, like, made you do all of that? Like, what is it that a young person needs to look at, or another street cat need to look at, to allow them to say it's okay to do what you did?
I mean, just like I said, just change your audience. Change your audience. Just learning that right now we're in a society where, what does they say, toxic? Toxic, that's the new thing. Toxic. You got women out here that's saying they savages. You know, and just learning that, you know, sometimes it's hip to be square. And
It's great to have something to lose. That's how I look at it.
you know, it's hip to be square.
When you have something to lose and you don't want to lose that, you have to think a lot harder and a lot longer before you make a rash
I see a
decision.
lot of artists that got a lot to lose doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
Dumb stuff. But they willing to do that. They willing to do that because they don't see nothing else.
Yeah.
And
You gotta
people
look
say
at it.
celebrities are they under attack, or they got to watch out, or like, is it really celebrities, or is it black men, or is it, you know, people of a certain income? Like, you know, we're quick to say, like, we're under attack, but what is it that you're doing? Like, what are you doing? Why is, you know, it's like, I think that we really need to reevaluate who's our audience and who we're
Right.
performing for.
Yeah,
And what gives us value.
What energy you're allowing.
Right, to control you.
Yeah, I believe under attack. Now, I think the veils is just getting lifted up off of people. That's what I truly think. Yeah, it's time for a cleansing.
I mean, look,
For real, though.
We having a lot of subliminal conversation
Yeah.
over
When he
here.
said that just now, I had 10 questions, but I was like,
Yeah.
we'll move on.
But that's
But I
the
think-
thing,
Yeah.
though. People don't want to talk about those things. Like, I ain't going there.
Yeah, because y'all ain't. That's what I was talking about
that's it,
earlier.
yeah.
But that's why I said I know this is gonna go over people's heads.
Yeah,
but
you
Reality
can't be
is, though,
afraid, man.
take that. No.
reality is though, when I got shot, like I was bleeding to death and went in and out a few times. And when you dying alone.
Yup.
When you go in that surgery room, you go alone. When they give you that oxygen or anesthesia, you alone. And it's just you and God trying to fight through those moments.
Ain't no big homies.
Ain't nothing.
Ain't
no
no
fun.
the
no
set
music.
not there.
There's no nothing. There's no fame
mother
to it.
can't
There's
even
no
help you.
likes.
Right.
It's nothing. It's just you and your will to survive and God's grace. And that's a big wake-up call. And unfortunately, too many people get that wake-up call too late. And they come out of it with emotional trauma. They come out of it with physical trauma. I mean, gun violence is the number one reason why people are newly handicapped.
Right.
So they come out in wheelchairs with, canes,
The bags.
bags. I mean, for me, I couldn't walk for 6 months. You know how crazy it is to have somebody pick you up and carry you to the bathroom as a
Right.
grown man for 3 months? To not even be able to eat your food by yourself. That's the reality of what happens, and it may look cool on TV or sound good, but it's a whole different world when you got to deal with that on your own.
How is
And
forgiveness for you?
for me, the main person I needed to forgive was myself.
Facts.
I was so angry that I was in that situation, and similar to Beans, I wanted to go get this guy, but then I also realized, like, hey, I put myself there, and did I start it? Was it my fault? No, but I could have avoided that situation. I could have made this decision different, that decision different. I mean, 6 months of being stuck in a bed, you go through every emotion, but the biggest thing you go through is frustration and guilt, and you beat up on yourself. And so for me, forgiveness was recognizing that, look, I was given another chance. Maybe I made a mistake, but maybe this is a blessing, and this trauma can be power and not just pain, not just hurt. And so what am I going to do with this? Am I going to dwell in it and spiral into a darker place, or am I going to own it and try to make things better for other people? But that forgiveness was key. And for me, that took 3.5 months to even get to that point.
Wow.
And that's what, unfortunately, a lot of our folks are going through. I mean, every year, 140,000 people are shot or killed. This ain't just Beans and Greg. These are hundreds of thousands of people, now millions of people since I was shot. So this is a lot of folks going through this trauma. But again, it's by the time you're there, the damage is done, and a lot of folks can't come back from that.
Right.
And just to go to your point of success, that from that point to now, there's also millions of people whose lives we save. There's hundreds of thousands of people who, are not incarcerated, who have gone on with their lives and doing successful things, who put their gun down, picked up cameras, shooting cameras now, or picked up yoga mats, picked up, books and wrote books and plays and directed movies and stuff like that. And so there is that ability to have that success across the nation, and so we want people to humble themselves, right? And if you need help, like, it's not easy doing it by yourself. And so allow us to be part of your team and help you make the decision that's going to help you save your life and your children's lives. We have a national platform. It's called the Black and Brown Peace Coalition. And so folks can text Fund Peace, PEACE, Fund, FUND, to 51555, 51555, and just be part of our national team. If they have an organization in a different city, we bring people together in the ecosystem to help get part of this money that Greg was talking about in the different cities, or just get access to, we just did Gaming for Peace. A young kid in Georgia won $15,000.
Wow.
right? Just playing video games, because we want to meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're going to be during Gun Violence Awareness Month in June, we're going to be doing the Gaming for Peace again. We're looking to have a festival at Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium, you don't know this yet, but we're looking to have a festival at Shea Stadium. So, let's get together, make this happen, because we want to get to that population that feels that they don't have hope. There's no reason to vote. There's no reason to do the right thing because everything points to negative. They don't know how to talk their friends off the ledge, or their girlfriend or their son, when they're having problems. Like, we want to bring folks together to show them that there is access to hope and there is a way to change your life. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing now that I stepped away from the day-to-day work at Life Camp is sharing the wisdom that I've learned over the last 36 years and teaching and working with people and mentoring people on how to succeed in this field and how to grow whatever it is you're trying to do, and connect the people to the right things, and bring people like you and other folks to the ground so that we can prosper off of our collective reach, and really change the conditions of our people from Detroit to Memphis to Atlanta, Georgia to Philly, who's getting ready to get beat by the New York Knicks
Here we go.
in this playoff season.
Never.
Oh, it was so peaceful a minute ago.
You don't want to talk football, though.
No, not yet.
You know what? I do want to go back to something you said, though, earlier.
Yes.
The veil's being lifted.
Yes.
Drum roll.
Come on.
She had to think about it. She processed it. Come on.
No, I wasn't. But I know for you, having been in the business, you've been around a lot, you've seen a lot. So is any of this shocking to you, seeing everything that's been coming to light in the music business and different people having been, charged with things or stories coming out?
I'm going to say this, right? I don't really want to speak on nobody personal issue. I don't wish nothing ill, but I will say this to the people who are listening: learn a lesson from behind whatever it is. Guilty, not guilty, is a lesson. Look for the lesson when you choosing a certain lifestyle. Whatever it is, find whatever what you're asking me. For the people that's watching, is a lesson behind all this. There's a lesson behind it. Watch what you actually chasing. Be careful. Don't get caught up and go down a rabbit hole of chasing success. That's it, man. Be careful. In a nutshell, for everybody, be careful who you idolize, what you idolize, because it can get very dangerous, as we see.
As you say.
As we see.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times the information is there. Like, there's people who have said things, and look, we just were looking at Shine and how he's like, look.
And I ain't talking about them little sound bites.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about the information. Learn a real lesson behind this. Because a lot of us, especially the youth, we glorify the wrong things. Of course, we need money to survive and to eat and all that, but after you acquire so much, then what's next? And that's where people get trapped off in. They looking at everybody next.
You know what else, though? What I was trying to say earlier also is that regardless, I'm not going to say regardless. And the fact that I gotta sit here and think, oh, you say this and with this, this society is so sick.
Right.
It's sick, right? And so, at what point in people's life did they become a problem? Most of the people's life became a problem when they changed their lives, or not. Right, but when they started to talk about empowering Black folks, right, and what made that person, right? We could look at the act, but we never look at the puppet master behind the puppet that made the act, right? These people didn't just fall out the sky and end up like this. And we keep going after, and I'm not, condoning any negative behavior in any field. But what made that person like that? Because in all fields, there's something bigger creating that monster. And we never deal with that. And so we always keep allowing it to, and it happens only to us because it's a business. It's a business on incarcerating us, killing us, allowing us to run this labor, we were slaves at one point. And if it's up to them, when they talk about make America great again, right? Then they're talking about going back to a point where we were labor, like we were the we don't count. We're 3/5 of a man. We're everything that doesn't count, right? And so understand, as Beans was just saying, what you're looking, and they can't decipher it. They don't have the intellectual power to do that at this point because they've been fed so much garbage. They don't know how to filter through the garbage, right? They don't know how to do that. Grown men and women don't know how to do it, much less kids. And so we could look at the headlines about Shine, right? And look at how and what created a Shine, right? What and think created a Diddy, what and created a Art Kelly, what and think created these brothers and sisters who pick up these guns and at 12 and 13-year-old and shoot at the id, right? There's so many situations in our community, but what created them? Let's talk about that. And let's deal with that. Because those are just, those are like every 20 years is another one.
Right.
Right? And so, it's deeper. It's deeper than our eyes can see. And we need to go deep. We need to, at some point, let's go deep. And let's not, what do they do? Like, cancel. Like, stop canceling. Like really, sit down. Sit down. We ain't babies. Stop canceling people because you don't agree with them.
I don't think that cancel thing really works. There's a lot of people that temporarily get canceled. It's, yeah. I mean.
She said temporarily.
I do. I don't think that's a real thing. It'll be like a little temporary uproar and then it goes away, or more times than not. There's very few people, very, very, very few. So
they get permanently canceled.
Yeah, they get permanently canceled. It's
there's some people we need to cancel though, and it's not.
You just said stop.
I know, but
cancel
but
the
we
counselors.
don't cancel the people that need to be canceled.
Right.
We cancel each other, the victims of a bigger picture. Right.
All right. Well, listen, Erica. Like I said, life can't for life. So you can say what you want, but gaming for peace. Let's talk about that coming back up.
Yes. So this June we're gonna online this year. For 2 weeks ago, we had 512 people register, and the final four came to York College. Young man from Georgia, like I said, won $15,000. We're going to do it again during Gun Violence Awareness Month. It'll all be online, so people all over the United States can register. We really need those young kids in the communities who really are hopeless to join.
It's going to be virtual this time,
It's going to be virtual. So fund peace to 51555. You'll get the information. Join them. We're going to be doing the Gaming for Peace. Both. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got music for bars. Can we get some bars? Beans got some new bars. Mic check, 1, 2.
Okay. OG Beanie talking to young Beanie.
Yes.
We like that.
Check it out.
Greg might have some bars from the White House. We're going to the White House. We're doing a meeting with the White House. Hopefully, Angela, you'll come with artists, entertainers, influencers, or just around how we can continue to have these conversations and impact communities in their local areas, because all politics are local, but we want to get our community, our peers involved in this political process. And so
to the artists that's out there, if y'all listening, tuning in, we definitely need y'all support. If y'all real and really want to help this cause, contact Erica so we can get this thing going.
Fund peace to
Fund peace.
51555.
Yes.
Right. Fun Piece to 51555.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all so much. We'll keep it going.
appreciate
And
you.
I'll make sure we keep us updated, before June.
Yes.
That's love.
Yes.
All right. Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
Way up.